Hello and welcome to another episode of Race Report. It's the third one already with myself, Felix Rijhnen, Powerslide team skater, and shortly will be also with me my friend and teammate Bart Swings. He'll be joining any second. And today we want to talk about another epic race which would have been normally taking place this weekend. Unfortunately, due to the corona crisis, it ain't gonna happen. But at least I have Bart Swings with me, or he should be with me. There he is. Hey Bart,
Felix.
what's up?
And all good.
All good? Yeah, and we want to talk about a very special event, a very special race, the Geisingen International race. And
Yes.
It would have been the 10th edition this weekend. Unfortunately, as I already said, due to the current situation, it got cancelled or at least postponed. But before we go into the details of Geisingen, we raced this morning, the first time in a long while.
We did, yeah, it was nice.
Indeed, yeah. Not on skates, not on our skates, obviously.
Sadly not, no.
But Bart and me, we raced on an online platform called Swift. It's basically an online game, I would say, and you can race with your bike and your smart trainer, and actually compete against each other. And there was a nice little initiative from some skaters in Berlin, Sören Lindner, Viktor Wilking, André Unterdörfel, and a couple of more, I guess, who started, who had the idea to bring all the skaters together who are without competitions at the moment, and let them start together at a couple of events. So we actually had one on Friday and another one today. And I'm feeling my legs. I don't know about you, but I went really, really deep.
Me too. Like I think 1 hour ago, I was still like, "Fuck, I'm really tired from this morning," and I feel the whole day. The race started this morning at 10 a.m. for everybody. And yeah, really good initiative. They called it also the alternative Geisingen International race. So
exactly.
It was fun to see some skaters from the skating community come together and compete again and get a little bit of the feeling from racing again. But it was more than fun. It was also very hard.
Yeah, indeed. And I don't know about you, but I got really nervous at the start line. It's for nothing. It's not. You don't get famous with it. You don't get prize money or nothing like this. But you just at the start line, finally with some of your mates again. And it was just a really good feeling to get that going. So everybody should check out Skaters Occupy Watopia. It's what they call it. And you can find them on Facebook and on Instagram. And as far as I know, they want to do it again. Maybe not not in the coming weekend, but at least in 2 weeks. And if you have a bike and if you have a smart trainer, then you should definitely think about it. We are not sponsored or anything, but
No.
I guess you can tell we are like pure racers from
We
heart.
just like to race.
And that's probably what we miss at the moment the most. So it was really nice to get a little bit of that feeling, so people get a rough idea of what was going on. I just show them your last little bit of your race.
Got mine? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You got mine one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Look at those
Was
watts.
not the smartest at the
More
end.
than 800 watts after 1 hour or almost 1 hour full gas. You can see Bart
Trying to sprint.
lots of people here.
I didn't have the best timing.
Boom. Heart rate 188, so you can tell he was working
It was
hard.
a good effort.
He was working hard. I show you also how I looked during my sprint 3 minutes later, because I wasn't in the same group as Bart. But look at this.
More watts? Yes, for sure.
A little bit, but as I said, 3 minutes further back, ouch, that was painful.
Yeah, I was really painful.
Yeah.
And coming back to your being nervous before the race, with me, it already started yesterday. Like
No.
10 o'clock racing, I was like, oh, in the weekend, it's waking up at 8. So I went earlier to bed because I knew, okay, we have to race. And I set everything up already. My home trainer was ready, so I didn't have to do those things in the morning. And yeah, I was just... nice to have a feeling again of racing and to look forward to something and to get excited. So that's just fun. And yeah, if the next races if we get more of those races, then it would be fun to see more people there, because probably we'll be there again, Felix, I guess.
I think so. They in the first weekend they did 3 events, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For us it was a little bit too much, but at least we did 2 of them. We raced Friday and Sunday. And I think we'll talk to the organizers, and I guess we'll find some sort of routine so everybody can
join
get,
if they want.
Yeah, and can get competitive whenever they feel like it, and kind of stay a little bit in some sort of race rhythm, because as you already said, it's good to get the nerves up a little bit and not completely forget about it. And if I look at my data, like my heart rate hasn't been that high for a long time. Like it's
I have the same.
Yeah. It's quite impressive how much you can hurt yourself on a bike trainer.
My training peaks was on, and I think it gave me a gold medal for this year for my hardest heart rate. So
look at this.
That tells enough. So yeah, it was a tough session. So so just fun to be again.
I have to point that out. So in that race, there were a couple of professional cyclists. Yeah, one of them was Alex Dowsett. He's national time trial champion of the UK. He's been top 5 at the World Championship in the time trial as an actual cyclist, and he was not only dropped out of your group, he was also dropped out of my group and finished like another minute behind there.
Maybe he wasn't doing a training.
He's at altitude. That makes it life a little bit harder. But anyways, just to put it into perspective, and I think especially for inline speed skaters, those kind of efforts, we are kind of used to them.
A 1 hour,
a little bit like a hard marathon. So not a bad way. And if you can find a smart trainer, you should definitely have a look. And
we can do it from home, so that's all we got to do at this point.
Exactly. So you don't have to leave your house and nothing. You just need stable internet. You need the app, a bike, and a trainer, and off you go.
Yes.
Even without the trainer, it works. Like you just need a power meter. That's also possible.
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, that was the first part.
That was the alternative Geising.
Exactly.
Now we go to the real thing, of course.
Our own little Geising event this weekend. But now at Race Report, we also want to talk about the competitions which we would have normally raced on this weekend, and in this case, the third weekend where we're missing races. It would have been the Geisingen Geisingen International race. Geisingen, small little town in the south of Germany, and one really ambitious.
Not much going on there.
Not too much going on. One good Italian restaurant. A little coffee
there.
Yeah.
Go to Rocco.
Exactly. Shout out to Rocco. One of the best Italians you can find, and definitely the best restaurant in Geisingen.
Yes.
And also the city or the town with the fastest track in the world, which is somehow incredible. But it's there. One ambitious family Uhrig, who decided to build inline skating arena. I think the construction started in 2008, then it was kind of finished in 2009. And the first international competition took place in 2010.
So pretty young still.
Yeah, it's kind of young. It would have been the 10th anniversary this year. So especially hard for them and for all the skaters that we're missing it. But can't change it. I have found a short little clip from the first edition of the race.
That's cool.
Let's look at this.
2010 edition.
Yes.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah. You're still racing against him.
Yeah, on the ice, of course.
Yeah.
He was world champion at that time for sure. Joey Mantia. And that's, I think the most typical race we have in Geisingen, and that's also started from 2010. This kind of racing, it's the Dublin Sprint. I think that's there's just. He beat me.
14-6.
14-6,
and then my old teammates, Andres Felipe Munoz, also still skating.
Powerside here. Yeah, he's still skating. It's just super fast there in racing.
14-3. That was enough to win that year, in the very first year.
And that was at that point also really fast, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
We were not used to those speeds yet, I think, and racing Geisingen and the first time the Dublin Sprint, I think that's also something we have to mention. It started there in Arena Geisingen, and it's I love that race, especially it's something typical about Arena Geisingen and about this race to do the Dublin Sprint, and of course it refers to Caelan Dublin, who invented the race kind of.
Exactly.
And I like the little story behind it, that everybody knows when you go to World Championships or when you go to European Championship. Yeah, everybody wants to do a fast lap, and all the big guys are one by one doing one, and you hear times when you're in the hotel room, this guy he did 15.3 or he did a 14.8, and then you're getting nervous about it. And of course, Caelan was one of the guys who was always very focused on those times, and he always knew the time from everybody.
Exactly.
And he loved that game also before the races, and he came up with this race, and it fits perfectly to him, and that's it's just a really cool race to once also do it for the time and do it for a result, and not just in a preparation for a World Championship.
You're right. Because usually before a World Championship or a World Games or even a Europeans, it's always like some guys, they are really gambling. They would not do a fast lap when there are too many people around, or if they see a person with a stopwatch around the track, they wouldn't go
stop
full.
20 meters before the line or
exactly.
something.
the old I didn't go full, stopping halfway through the last straight and things like this. But it's a fun game. And especially like younger guys, they can get like really, really nervous about this. I think you still listen to those times, but I don't think they scare you anymore, right?
No, not really. But I use them more as my own motivation, because usually you can use your own speed, and for me, especially at those times, I'm just focused a lot on the long distance, and the long distance is for me the most important. And for a long distance skater, I usually have a good speed.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, but like when I was junior, or when I didn't pay any attention, I didn't know any times, I didn't know from any junior or any senior. For me, it only started like once I was 2 or 3 years in the senior category. Before that, it was just honestly, race skated. And
honestly, the whole timing thing and flying lap thing and taking times, for me it started with the Dublin Sprint in Geisingen. Because I remember like skating the first time on the track, and it felt fast, and it felt nice because the surface was super smooth, no bumps and nothing like this, wide corners. And all the older guys in the team were going crazy, like, whoa, we're going 18s the whole time, 17s feel so easy. But I had nothing to compare it. Like, felt fast, but I don't know. Like when I skate in Grosgero at my home track, also feels fast, but it's obviously 1.5 or 2 seconds slower. And this was one of the things like the Dublin Sprint really, I think kind of taught me. And then also I had guys in the team like Caelan and Scott. They are kind of the masters of those things. They love times and they love that game before the race. So now
it makes me think about back when I was junior. it was like for me when I was doing Worlds or Europeans, I was not paying attention about it. But in training, I was paying a lot of attention because my coach Jelle, he wrote all the times down from every training.
So you got it from him already.
Yeah. And then we had like on every single track where we went, he had like the name fastest man of the track, the FOMT or something.
Oh, great motivation.
It was really cool. And then we had one a time in, for example, in Scaltenigo. It was a track in Italy, and every year we went there 2 weeks on training camp. And he said like, oh yeah, Chet, back in the day when the World Championships were here, he did like a 50.
Wow,
and then
how cool is
we
that?
really had to go for that time. And I have it on my home track. I know back then we also had like times from my home track, and I still do it, of course. Now we're focused a lot on the times, but for me it started back then when my coach Jelle was always, and also it was me. I was junior at that point, racing with Ferre. He was senior, and then Marty was trying to beat the times, and we had like a small group of 4 or 5 skaters going for it, and then you push it, and you want to be the fastest man of the track, and that was always very cool.
And I remember Jelle, your coach, he had like a little website or a little blog, I think it was.
And
that's where he put it on there. So it was like on the internet, it was official, and everybody could see it. A great way. Like I really love that. It really, really awesome, and I think that prepared you really well for an event like the Dublin Sprint. And
still, one of those times is on the 400 meter, my home track. It's super hard. I don't know if I can beat it now. It would be so hard, and it's from 6 or 7 years ago. So
whoa, you should give it a go.
All the circumstances have to be perfect. Like the weather has to be 25 degrees, no wind, or at the exact same right point. So that's fun, those times, and that's a great thing about the Dublin Sprint. Everybody knows when a 14 sub 14 is coming, then it's awesome.
The crowd goes crazy and stuff. Do you remember in the first years? I mean, we already said now that in the beginning the times they were fast, but compared to now, 10 years later, with the times they won, you would not make the final anymore, I think.
No.
With the 14.3, it's borderline to make the top 10 and to get to skate the final.
I didn't make the final last year with 14.24.
Wow, look at that. So it's crazy.
I was 11th or something. It was the first time I was not in the final, so that hurted kind of. But the times went so much down after that year. Actually, after the first year was only going faster every single year.
So what would you say? What are the reasons that the times got so much faster over the course of 10 years?
I think there's multiple reasons. First, material. We have way faster wheels now. Brands like back then, the brand MPC was already pretty good for defining that, but Matter is just created a lot more grip with their wheels and more rebound, and that's what we saw with the Code White. It's now the fastest wheel over there, and first MPC was the fastest wheel, the first wheel going under 14, but then now Matter is just with Edwin, of course, has the record.
From last
year.
So I think,
from a few years ago.
No, actually it's been a while ago. Yeah, sorry. It wasn't last year. Last year wasn't even there. Yeah.
No. And so, wheels is important, I think. Then other material, like in different sports, like in cycling, it's 10 years now. The helmets are way more aerodynamic, and on a 14 sub 14 lap, it makes a difference for sure.
Oh, definitely.
And then I also think the suit. I remember when Juan Camilo, he went for Camilo, he went for the record. He had an ice suit, and he made a record with it. And now all the suits are I think the fastest suit, in my opinion, is the one from BioRacer that we are racing now, the Speed Master. It's just super aerodynamic. You don't have any wrinkles in your suit, or it's just so smooth, and I think that's also one of the reasons. But maybe most important is the track getting faster.
Obviously the track has kind of worn in. It got a lot smoother over the years, I would say.
More hard also.
The Vesmaco, so the surface, the colored surface, probably got harder, and that makes it faster. but it didn't lose any grip, I feel. So that's also
No.
probably one of the big reasons. Yeah, clothing, fully agree. Back then, I remember we didn't worry about if his suit was flapping around or if the helmet was, I don't know, huge. Or and now you think about, should I wear gloves or should I not wear gloves? Should I wear glasses or should I not wear glasses? Because you're going over 50 k's an hour. So really, the aerodynamic drag is deciding for, or it can be a decisive factor if you win or lose. And I have to say, like, this is one of the things like Geisingen really brought into our sport, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because before there were, like, if you raced a 300 meter and you started maybe 45 minutes before somebody else, the weather could have been completely different. The wind could have been much stronger or much less or whatever. That would play a much bigger factor. But in Geisingen, it's always the same. Temperature is pretty constant. So it's...
When you're racing during the Dublin sprint, it's just everybody has actually the same conditions.
Yeah, it's super fair. And as you said, also wheels. I mean, we just saw Munoz there. He was skating on Defcons. And back then, a Defcon was a decent wheel. But looking back now, I mean, it didn't even have an insert. So it was basically something like a juice, just with a little bit different formula. And if you would skate them now, like, no chance, I wouldn't even put them on for training. It's quite incredible if you think about that. So for sure, it's wheels is a big factor. And then something I think you didn't mention yet is also that the skaters kind of understood like how to skate the track and which lines to take, for example.
For sure.
Because now, I mean, you've been so many times to Geisingen. You know pretty well. You know pretty well like how many steps you need to take in a corner, how wide or how narrow you can enter into the corner, and all those things. But in the first 1 or 2 years, we had to learn that. We had to learn that. And it's something you don't learn overnight. Like, it really takes time, and sometimes it changes because then you get faster, and suddenly you have to change your line again. So that's in my opinion also one of the big factors.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one.
Yeah. So let's look at a couple of pictures.
Ooh.
Remember those guys?
Oh, back in the day. Yeah, I remember them.
That's from 2017. Also, really one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah. Me too. It was one of my favorite years also racing.
Yeah.
Maybe I was not in my best shape there, but still I was just really nice racing there, and we had a good team, good atmosphere.
Now that you say it, we look also at a video of that year, 2017. And it's the last couple of laps of the elimination race. And that's the decisive move here.
I told him, go.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we were planning this like before the race. So, hey, if there's a chance. The guy in front is Hamilton, called Chami, Colombian guy who was with us a couple of years. And, he came to Geisingen and was really flying. I raced a week before already with him in free tracks. He was good, but nothing like super special. Then he came to Geisingen, won both long distance races, obviously also with your help and my help. And then the weekend later in Grossgau, he was on the road. He wasn't that good anymore.
No, that was true.
No, but
I think here he just showed how strong he was. It was almost 7 laps, I think. He went and kept full going, and you see the gap is only getting bigger and bigger.
And for people, if they ever try to break away in an elimination race, it's crazy hard. It's almost impossible because the group behind is always sprinting and accelerating to not get eliminated. And he was basically racing there against his Colombian national team teammates.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see the guys there: Peter Michael,
I think
Alex
he wanted to prove
Vante.
also something at that point, how strong he was. And
There was a big thing
compared to the other Colombian team. The national team was there, and And he always loved to race in Geisingen. It was one of his dream, he told me, and so
yeah, that's true. Then he got the chance, and he definitely made the most out of it.
Yeah, he took it with both hands.
And
yeah,
he
was a really nice one.
yeah, he was also so grateful and thankful afterwards that he had a shot, that he had a chance. And I mean, that was incredible. And maybe we talk also about the points race, because I mean, obviously you went in as our leader, and that year, maybe we have to explain that first. We actually had a bigger team. We would have been 6 guys.
Yeah.
And then Scott Arlich, our team manager at that time, thought that it would be a great idea to split the team into 2.
Split the team. Yeah.
And
2 teams of 3 guys.
Yeah, I remember we were not like the biggest fans of that, because I mean, we were a great group of guys and kind of we wanted to work all together, but we understood also that it might look stupid if there are like 6.
If you would be racing with 6 guys,
6 of the best long distance guys in the world racing all together in the same suit and stuff. So we basically split, and there was a Powerslide team that was Chami, you and me, and there was a Matter team that was Peter Michael, Owen Fernandez, and Livio Wenger.
Yeah, he just got second in this elimination, I think, as
the world champion. He was racing in the white suit, in his world champ suit. And in the end, it played out for that race. It played out pretty well, because we were not like fully racing against each other, but we were both teams were racing for the win, and I think it made for some pretty exciting racing. But also in the points race, it made our life really tough, because
super hard.
You actually went down, like you crashed in the race.
I crashed. I crashed before the first points, I think.
Wow, that early.
I was really early in the race, and I think after 5 laps or something, I hit somebody else's skate and I hit the floor. And you know, when you crash, you're always like my boot hits the asphalt or the concrete, and then you stand up and it feels like you can't skate. So it felt like my wheels were not in the right position and were like a little bit bumping. So it took me a while.
It's a horrible.
Yeah, it took me a while to come back to the peloton, and then coming back in a points race and then going for points again was just super hard. And
if for everybody who never raced in Geisingen, the long distance races, and especially the points race, it starts with crazy laps. Like there are 14-second laps in there, and most of the early laps are in the 15s. So it's super, super hard. And then imagine you crash, you fall down, you feel shitty, as you just explained. I exactly know the feeling. You think like, oh, probably my frame has moved,
broken,
something is crooked, like it's hurting also. But at the same time, you are not allowed to lose any time. You have to stand up, sprint straight away. And I remember, I don't know if only I came back to help you, or both.
Came back
both,
huh? Like you came the most toward me, and
but he was
at the end of at the end of the peloton, and then I remember like the next 10 laps I was just sitting behind him, and he said, "Lo, we go to the front." And every time we moved up 10 places, I had to say, "Wait a little, because I need time to get better, to recover." And then once I got in the front, I was like, "Okay, let's go get some points." And once it was super hard, and I took some points. I think I got in the overall at the point halfway. I was like second or third at that point. And then I saw like, okay, for the overall victory of the Arena Geisingen race, because that's what's most of the time in my head when during these races. I want to win the overall, because that's always a big goal, and that's kind of the winner of the weekend.
It is.
Yeah. So when I saw like, okay, I'm good for the overall, I told Chami, because he wanted to still go. I said like, go, you can win.
Take as many points as you can.
You can take the points out. I will just sit here and wait. And then he still, like, at that point it was halfway the race. He had maybe like 3 points, and he was 10 points behind the winner at that moment. But he went and he kept going, and yeah, eventually he won that race. So that was first doing the team effort, helping me as the leader at that moment, and then once I told him, okay, now you can go for yourself because I'm hurting from my crash, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he still managed to keep going and go for the victory. That was
incredible.
That was special.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Because normally, it's like you said, in those situations, you just think about, okay, we try to seal the overall, try to make sure we're not losing too many spots. And that's the most important thing. But normally you don't even think about winning the race, the individual race anymore. But that year it was just super impressive, and it was one of my favorite years.
Me too.
I have to say. Obviously, got a picture from last year. That was also a nice moment. Look at those guys. Yeah.
It was for sure after the points.
Yeah, it was after the points race. I think
I didn't crash, so
wasn't you didn't make it too hard for yourself that time?
No, this time no.
But
I will show you my most
please.
favorite race moment from Geisingen. It's not my own race or anything, and I think this is it for sure.
With Willie.
Willie, we call him Willie. It's
Wei Low, from Taiwan.
He's a Taiwanese guy, and he's actually the first person ever to go under 14 seconds, and that was for everybody. Everybody felt it coming a little bit, like the days before. He came all the way from Taiwan, so he had to get used to the time, the jet lag, of course, and
get the travel out of the legs and stuff.
And I think the way he raced and the way he skated that sub 14, for me, it's still one of the most smooth ways he skated, and nobody else skated like that. Has skated a 14 sub 14 up, and this also something special about it was now the most guys who did under 14 is the last 5 years, I think. 2016 is the record, 17, 18, 19. But he did this in 2012, and I think that was something.
Really?
2011.
He was really in front of his
magical.
time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And with a big gap also, you can see it's. The second one was Pedro, not the worst guy. He's one of the best sprinters.
What a
maybe,
level! What a level! Look at those guys: Fabio, Kalen, Munoz, Matthias Schwirtz, Lorenzo Cassioli, Scotty up there. Wow, that's also something I wanted to mention. Like, really great moment you choose, and what people often, I think, don't realize is that even in a year in Geisingen where there are maybe not all the Colombians coming because they have their own races in Colombia, or not so many South Americans coming, then I would still say a weak Geisingen is still the level of at least a European Championship.
Even stronger, because they're always
probably at least
some guys, or for example the New Zealand guys who live there, they have the world's level, and then that's what I think is the most special about it, and that's something I also wanted to show. If you see at the first edition from 2010, this is me, and I wanted to zoom in on this picture because then you see all the good guys who are in there. It's the first edition, the first time this race is organized, and you have. We had at that point were 4 really big teams. My team at that point was Karamotis, but then you had the raw team of Powerslide, and those were, you had Andres Munoz being world champion, you had Nam from Korea, Kalen being world champion, Scotty world champion. So many guys. Joey Mantilla was at that point also there for the US racing and then you had the Bond team, you had
Diego,
your team, Diego Rosero also, of course, That's this was the breakaway in the points race. Scotty, and Diego.
Do you still remember how that breakaway went?
Yeah, it was the first lap.
It was like
the first sprint.
It was like from the gun, full gas and from the first sprint, you three guys were gone. And I think you left the pack also.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm pretty.
For me, it was perfect situation because Powerslide was a huge team. And I was obvious. I had strong teammates, but we were just a little bit smaller. You can see here in my team. It's mixed with the girls, and it was me, Marty, my brother, Ferre, and then a French guy, Julien Sourisseau. We had a really strong team. We had a strong team, but only 4 guys, and we were not all world champions at that time compared to the Powerslide team. So for me, it was just a good situation. I was with 3 guys away, and
you were happy about
it.
For sure,
Yeah,
impressive. I really admired you guys that year, like Scotty and Diego as well, because the pace in the pack was already like super high, and you guys not only broke away, you also left us, and I felt like a Barney skating the pack. It was really incredible. And as you said, like
it's always so hard in guys.
The
racing, the pace is so high, and then a point race for me, it's so early in the season also, and it just hits you. You know the feeling. It's there. It's usually pretty dry, the air inside of Geisingen. If you're lucky, and most of the time, because there's many people there, it's also pretty hot in there. So the points race is just
super tough. In the first years, it was also like the whole setup of the race everything wasn't as dialed in as it is in the last couple of years. So everything took a little bit longer, and I think we raced sometimes there like almost 12 at night. Remember that? And then you had like all-out effort, and we're back in the hotel like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the night, couldn't sleep for hours, and then it started the next day early in the morning
sprint again. 500 meters.
So tough. Talking about 500 meter sprint, also one of my favorite pictures. Look at this.
I like this one too.
I didn't stay on too long after that, but that is a nice moment captured.
That's very cool.
Start line of
why I showed the pictures from back in those days. If you see how a first edition is so many good guys, and it only came bigger and bigger. Now you have the South Americans, Colombians, of course, very strong Colombians, especially if it fits with the World Championship and their selectivos. But then you have Venezuelan guys who are very strong, also Argentinian guys coming, Chile. That just makes it always a really hard competitive field there. And then most of the times they are, especially the Colombians and the South Americans, they are already in a pretty good shape because they had already a good preparation, and they had already some big races there. So when you come fresh out of the winter like us, it hurts.
It does definitely. And then you have to think about it. It's one of the first races in the season. It's the fastest track in the world. You race against the best in the world, and then those numbers. There were years where we had more than 120 senior men in one category. So there were A, B, and C finals. So even to qualify for the A final wasn't super easy. Like, it's not that you could just rock up to the track and straight to final. Like, there were some nervous people at the start line. Like, really.
Yes.
That's also one of the special things.
We started always with the heats for the points race, and then you saw like, okay, I'm on the list, I'm in heat 1, and then you start counting all the good guys, and then they say 8 guys go to the final, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4.
But there are 12 good ones. Shit.
Shit.
Yeah. That's like typical Geisingen moments. Like, definitely. I remember also one key moment for me. In Geisingen. I don't know if it was in the first year. I think it was in the second year. So basically, the second year you were still racing for Motors, I think.
Yes.
And I was racing with Powerslide. And we got the first day, we got our ass pretty kicked. Like we had no chance. I think the points you won quite easy, and I think Scotty was the only one who was kind of competitive. I think it basically the same thing, like early breakaway, you left us, and then Scott was completely without a team, and one-on-one you were just better. And it was really a tough situation for us and for the whole team. And back then we were still racing on DEFCONs.
In 2011?
Yeah, I think so.
I think no, 2011 was the G9, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because
wait, and that came.
Okay.
That came. So after the first day, so we had some prototype wheels. Like guys from the US, they brought over some prototype wheels, like white wheels with a green hub. No idea what that was. Yeah. Or grey hub back then was it? I think.
Yeah, it was.
And then Kalen and Scott, like on the Sunday morning, they were on the bike together and doing like kind of a race preparation, and they were talking and they were just saying like, okay, we have to change something, we have to try something. We have no chance. Like that guy Swings is handing our ass to us. Like honestly, we just put those wheels on. There was no time to test because they arrived like the day of the race, and normally you never want to do that. Like.
No,
we would never.
We
would never go into a race with some new gear without testing it before. And then those two guys, they made the call and were like, everybody put the new wheels on, and we did that.
That's tricky, yeah.
Yeah, we did that, and I mean I had no clue anyways. Like back then I didn't even know what was a good wheel or what was not a good wheel.
Insert?
Yeah, what was an insert was already a tough question. And then I remember we lined up for the elimination, and it was like way better than the day before. We were able to go to the front. I think we still didn't win the race, but just as a team, it was a much better effort, and we could actually do something, and we could use our team and as good as we could. And I don't know if you still remember that, because I do. I call it the Carbonara Gate. Was happening
I don't remember that. Why Carbonara Gate?
I explain you. So actually, there was some pressure like between Powerslide and Kado Motors. And then we had our two, like, I don't know, team captains, I would call it. So it was Kalen and you had Farah. And both of them, they like to shit talk a bit and stuff, and it's nothing special. But at the start line to the elimination, like Farah was just like having fun and giving Kalen some shit about how bad he was.
We were just in a good shape. We were just having a good time. Like we had good races and we were in a good mood.
And I mean, you had basically no pressure. You know, it was like the young guy, and if he's beating like the big teams, then it's shit for the big team and not for you, or the other way around. And so they were shit talking. And Kalen got like really mad and was like, you put my fucking wheels on and then you try to race me and I beat you every day. And so it got like really heated up. And then boom, the gun goes. And Farah had like a really shitty elimination race. And he was out early and I think never really like got to the front. And then Kalen was coming at him afterwards like, and what was going on now? And blah blah. And then Farah was like, fuck, the race started much earlier than what we anticipated. We were just eating carbonara like half an hour before. He said he was so full that he couldn't actually race. That was just one of the most like funny moments and conversations like back then. It was super. I
can imagine.
Kind of awkward, but also super funny, and with Farah it always was, and
it's always fun. And
1 hour later they were friends again, so it was all good.
For sure.
It was all good, but
probably drinking at Rocco's.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it was always really. Yeah, that's always hard with the wheels. I've had it in the past too, when you have wheels that are not as good as the competition, and you stick to a brand, of course, and that can make it hard. And I can imagine that when you can get heated up in the moment, and then I can completely understand.
Yeah, well, there was. I mean, the meta guys were there. Like they came from the US, like to see the team on the new track, on the fastest track, and they wanted to see us win with their wheels and stuff. And it wasn't happening, you know. And so there's money involved. There's pressure there. There's pressure on the athletes, and it just came out in that moment. And 10 years. Yeah, 10 but it years was ago, also. But I still have it on my mind.
If you look back now, I remember you had those wheels in Geisingen, and then of course Gross-Gera came, but Gross-Gera is more on the road, so you were a little less in trouble. Yeah. But then I remember really well in Heerde, you already developed the next wheel. Yeah. Like, I think in Geisingen it was like G6, and then in Heerde you had G9 maybe already. Or G11?
No, it came from G9. I think we had in Geisingen.
Geisingen,
And then it was actually that back then Simon from Taiwan. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember
him and me. We had like a huge box of wheels, and Scotty basically just sent them to me and was like, "Yeah, while you are in Heerde, figure out what's the best."
What's the best.
And it was really like I just put a set of wheels on, did a couple of laps, one flying lap, was alright, was okay or not. And then next one's on, and this like for 10, 12 times, so it was super tough to decide. But then there was one where I thought, wow, that's actually a lot better than everything else I had. And I put them on and I used them. Yeah, and in the end, that was also what we went for afterwards. Obviously, after Scott Kalin and all those other guys were checking if I was right. But I think I was kind of also one of the guys who found the G13 formula.
The best one. And I remember well because at that point you had Jore van den Berge also in your team. Yeah. And of course, I was not involved in any of this. I didn't know. It was really hard to get any feeling with how those things were going. And I remember Jore, he was first year senior or second year senior at that point. And he did really good in the 300 there. And then I went talking with him and I was like, oh, well, how's it going with the wheels? And I saw something like G11 or something on there. And then I knew, okay. And then I think that's... After that, it was the World Championship in Jeosu in Korea.
Yes.
And that's when officially G13 was there. And then because of G13, I might have lost some world titles there. So
could have been.
Because then was a big wheel at that point, and almost everybody was skating on it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically the wheel, at least on road, which was dominating for years, and I mean we're still on G13, we're still winning on that wheel. So it was definitely like a milestone and a huge step in the wheel development. There was just a question from one of the listeners about what is the best 125 wheel, and I think we would both agree that the best 125 millimeter wheel you can get is from Meta, obviously. And you just need to decide if it's the G13 one, so the one with the skinny shape, or if it's the blue one, the original 125, which is a bit wider. I unfortunately today don't have them here to show you, but I'm sure if you Google Meta 125, then you'll find them. Yeah, good.
I also have a question from somebody. I got it sent a few days ago from Cesar Eranzo. And he asked me, do you think that in Arena Geisingen someday will be the World Championships?
Ooh, good question. Yeah. So maybe you go
me?
first.
We have had the European Championships there in 2014, I think. And that was it was obviously a really awesome World Championship there. The road was always a little bit, I think it's not allowed anymore to have a road race there for the world skate. But of course, it has the most beautiful track. You became European champion in a marathon, I remember there.
Yeah, first European title, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, would be great, I think, to have a world championship there. Because now there are 9 guys under 14 seconds, but it's always early in the season, and I think we've seen it at the Europeans. The times were already super fast there. Yeah. So if you have a world championship there with everybody in shape and everybody peaking towards the world championship, then so crazy, you would have crazy times. Crazy races, crazy times, and that would be something special. And depends if one day the organization would want to do it.
I think, as far as I know, they would definitely love to do a world championship there. There were always a couple of barriers, like you said, like that the road course is kind of not within the rules of World Skate. But then if we look at the last couple of years, most of them were not really, just looking at Nanjing, for example, which was just a big oval and things like this.
Or last year the roller game. Roller game.
Exactly. Was completely off the charts. Yeah. And another issue has always been that it's obviously in a small village and there are not so many hotels around. But I think that's also possible. Then you just have to drive a little bit longer. That's also not the end of the world. And I think the final point is that to apply for a world championship, it takes a lot of money. World Skate is asking for quite some money. Obviously, you have to pay all the officials, pay all the accommodation for judges and so on, for all the stuff. You need a lot of volunteers, and so far it hasn't been happening. But I could very well imagine it in the next couple of years. And I don't know, personally, I hope that I can still skate a world championship myself as an athlete in Geisingen. I would really love to be able to still do that. And another thought I had was that, I mean, obviously the race didn't take place this weekend, but if you remember back a couple of years, there was at least 1 or 2 years where there was the Arena Geisingen International, so in April, the normal date, and then there was a later European Cup
marathon.
That also, but there was also 1 year with a European Cup on the track in like October
in September or something.
Quite
October,
late, I think it was. It was like, maybe you were probably on ice back then already, but because I remember I was racing it 1 year with Alexis Contin and Uwe Fernandez. They were both skating for Powerslide that year. And that's kind of something I hope for, that maybe we don't miss the event completely. Maybe they can just do it at a later stage. Nice. Because obviously with the roof, we didn't talk too much about the roof yet. No. But that's also one point which makes that arena, that location so special, is that it's fully covered. Not only over the top, it's completely covered. It's a complete indoor track. And so you can skate all year round. Makes it a perfect location for training camps, because you don't care if it's hail, snow or rain. You can always skate in perfect conditions, and that
makes it. Yeah, I think that's what makes it so special. The most special about Geisingen is the moment, and I always get that feeling when you first time you step into the arena again and you walk in there, the big what's it called, like the big door, going open, and you walk in there and you see, and also the colors, they give you like a warm feeling, and you get in there and then you're like, wow, this is a track like this should be everywhere, in my opinion, but of course not that easy. But it's just that's the most special track you have, and the most special arena. It really is an arena, and we don't have that many times in skating that you're racing in an arena, and that's just lovely. Yeah,
let's just hope we will get a chance soon to compete there again.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, good. We are almost in the last 5 minutes again. Like time is flying when we do those things. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have something to add to Geising, or you feel like we covered it all?
Yeah, I think that was a good thing to finish it with. Just it's the most beautiful arena we have, and that's all what Geisingen is. Just an amazing building,
and it deserves international competition regularly.
That's sure.
Something.
If it needs it also, I think.
Yeah. If you decide those things in the interest of the skaters, then Geisingen should have every 2, 3, 4 years should have an international competition, and
for sure.
Would be nice if World Skate could work together with the people from the arena and figure something out.
For sure.
Yeah, cool. Race Report episode number 3 almost coming to an end. Next week we talk about also a race which is close to your heart and also close to my heart. And that's
hometown race almost for you.
Yeah. It's my home race. Like it's the place where I train like almost every day, and the place where I compete since I'm small little kid. One of my first races on inline skates I did there, and that's the speed skating criterium in Groß-Gerau. So basically from where I am now in Darmstadt, like 15 kilometers, direction Frankfurt more or less, is the location of Groß-Gerau, and there's a 200 meter track and a 304 meter asphalt road. And since more than 40 years, or last year was the 40th anniversary, there's always an international competition, and you've won it quite a few times already, but we don't talk about that now. That's coming next weekend. So Swingsy, thanks again for joining me. I want to remind the listeners that you can post questions to Bart or to my Instagram, or comment under this video on YouTube, because I always share the videos a couple days later on my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, then just post them there, because it's quite hard for us to read the chat and talk and answer the questions. So just feel free to ask whatever is interesting for you.
We'll put them in the next episode, and we'll try and answer all of your questions.
Because next Sunday we will be online again, 6 o'clock.
Yes. And
then we're coming with Race Report episode number 4 already. Wow, it's going fast.
Going very fast, yeah. Lots of races we're missing, but let's do this, and let's keep thinking about those next races.
Let's keep them in mind. Let's not forget about them, and let's try to keep the people and us a little bit entertained and during those difficult times. Swingy, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for
you too, Felix. It was a nice chat again.
Spending another hour with us, and I'm already looking forward to next Sunday.
Me too.
So everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you again next Sunday at 6 o'clock. Bye.
Bye.